DSA 1 UGA fan rants and opinion back with a part 2. This is probably gonna be a little quick. I was just speaking on how some of these players want to quit because they don't get a chance to go to a very touted bowl game, and they quit on their team to go to the draft or some miraculous injury or whatever the case may be, or whatever the issue is. Like, that to me is real weak. That's being scary. Like, you shouldn't be able to fight with your team all season long to then turn around and quit because you don't get your chance to go to a bowl game. You got to do like everybody else. You got to fight for it all season long to get there. We ain't playing for a national? Man, I'm declaring for the draft. If that's the case, you should have stopped playing the third game before the end of the season to go ahead and do that, because you wasting time. You killed the majority of the time that some of those other players could have used to prepare for that bowl game. And help out the team. Because some of these teams look like it's the beginning of the season when they playing these bowl games, whether it's early or late, when a lot of their players just up and leave. That stuff is totally unnecessary. And that's something I wish the NCAA would approve of or even use as a thought. Like, if you're going to quit, go ahead and quit and leave the team. Like, go ahead and leave. So these other players that haven't had a chance to play all season long because you've been doing such a good job, but your feelings hurt, you want to go into the draft and leave your team hanging. Go ahead and leave by the third game of the season. If not, after the conference championships are over with, the bowl games have been selected, and y'all team is going to the bowl, you cannot go into the draft after that. You are locked in at that point, and you got to play. Because you talking about, I might get injured. You could get injured during practice at the beginning of the year. You can get injured in the first game that take you out for the beginning of the year. You can get injured in the conference championship game and be done up until the time of the NFL draft. So, I mean, there's always a thing of caution that everyone should have when it comes to playing this sport before you go into the NFL draft. And some of these teams in the NFL are going to draft you in anyway, knowing you injured. They already got like a whole season worth of film, and if not one season, they got a couple of seasons worth of film to see what you look like before you even go to the draft. And from what I understand, a couple of players have been drafted even with an injury. So, I mean, if that's the case, by the third game towards the end of the season, you need to go ahead and just, look, coach, I'm declaring for the draft. Let them know, just like you would be declaring to go into the transfer portal. Yeah, go ahead and leave. Just go ahead and get on up out of here, get out the way, and do what you got to do. After the times for the your record to get either more wins or losses, and y'all figure out what the conferences figure out what teams are going to what bowl game, you are now locked in. You cannot leave and declare for the draft. Now, some folks think Deion Sanders is going to possibly go 8-4 or something like that because he's at Colorado, and Daniel took all of JSU players, hypothetically speaking, air quotations, to Colorado State. I've told this one guy I was talking to about that situation, I said, look, man, even though a lot of them players at Colorado left, that does not mean that Deion's team is prepared to play in a Power 5 conference. This is totally different from playing against HBCUs. And I don't even think Deion Sanders' team played against a Power 5 opponent while he was there. Excuse me. And if they did, they probably got beat badly. And that's no knock on him. That's just the way the facilities are set up. From what I've heard earlier this year from a lot of HBCUs, the facilities and the food is not up to par to get these players prepared to deal with opponents from Power 5 schools. Like, there's no way that they would be prepared to deal with that going from Jackson State to Colorado, and you get 6-7 months to lift weights, get the rest of the team to learn a new scheme, and be prepared to go 8-4. Even though the Big Ten is a decent conference, you still got 3 of the hardest hitters in the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Okay, let's say they lose those 3 games. They can possibly lose to Maryland. They can possibly lose to Wisconsin, Minnesota. That's another 3 losses. I see them going 6-6. And I told the dude, I said, okay, I won't even give you 6-6. I give you, excuse me, 7-5. I'll give you that. They'll go 7-5 this year. But in actuality, I really believe they're going to go 6-6. I don't see them doing any better than that. And that's not no knock on him. This is what I've said in previous videos. And for those who don't know, this is my idea or my thought process on coaches going from one school to another school, or a coach going from the NFL to college. Any coach that moves from one school to another needs at least 5 years to get these players ready to play. Some fans still have not grasped that concept because they just think, oh, he's at whatever school, that they're just gonna take off and do good. It's been very few coaches that's been able to get to a school and instantaneously turn it around or keep it going from where they was at. Like Urban Meyer left Utah, came to Florida. He came to a Florida that was built off of Steve Spurrier, took them to 2 national championships. And when Tebow left, he all of a sudden had heart complications and booked. I want to say Lincoln Riley, but Lincoln Riley hasn't won a national championship or a conference championship to my understanding. I take that back. I think he did win one with Baker Mayfield. But other than that, really hasn't shown too much sense. And he almost had another one when he went to USC this year. And I want to say it's one more coach that has done the same thing, but not really. Not off the top of my head that I can think of. And it could possibly be Nick Saban. It took him, I want to say, 3 to 5 years to actually win his first national and then go every other year from that point on. Not too many coaches can do that. It took Kirby 6, possibly 7 years to get right. So, I mean, all these coaches that leave and go from one school to another school or get promoted within the ranks of the school don't mean they just going up and win 10 games that first year. What's his name that left Notre Dame and came to LSU? Brian Kelly. He's working with a team that was already built off the strength of Coach Orgeron. That's not his team. That man got 4 more years to put his team in place, and let's really see what they looking like if he's there that long. And I don't really see LSU getting rid of their coach like that. Florida, they might be starting back over. Auburn, they just got Hugh Freeze. So he's still building off of the other coach that was there, whose name I cannot remember at this point. But yeah, he's gonna be building off of that. So, oh yeah, Mississippi State, their coach passed away. They gotta get a new coach to rebuild that team. So nobody should be expecting these coaches to be doing something miraculous, especially in the SEC, when you have to deal with an up and coming dang, I just said the man's name, now I forgot it. But whatever. The new LSU coach, Kirby, and Nick Saban. And then you still got Sam Pittman, who's looking like he's becoming a regular as far as his record go, because he really haven't been able to get over that hump since he first got there. And I really think this is what his team is starting to look like, because I think he's been there 5 years. So all these players are under his tutelage. Then you got Shane Beamer. I want to say he's been there 3 years. He's not all the way there yet. And then you have Heupel at Tennessee. Same thing. He hasn't been there but, like, want to say 3 years. Some of these coaches have not been there long enough to get the full 5 years and to get their full roster from freshmen up to seniors to really see what this team is looking like. So during these spring camps, I really want to know what you all think. Drop in some info if you got some. If you don't and you just like the content, like, share, and subscribe. Let your folks know about it. But other than that, that's DSA 1. I'm out.